What is going on? We are back for another episode of the Media Captain podcast, sibling duo Jason Parks.
And Stephanie Parks.
And we are very excited about this podcast because we have revamped our podcast studio. We have taken a 2 to 3 month hiatus. Just talk about what do you think about the new setup?
It's pretty professional. It's pretty legit. We discussed that this is the fourth version of our podcast, and we hope that it's the final version. We've built this beautiful studio. We've gotten all the equipment set up. So we're here, we're live, we're ready to go. And, we're still working out some of the kinks, so just bear with us. But we're excited. The 11 marketing items podcast.
And just to refresh your memory, if you're new to the podcast, every 2 weeks, we go over 11 different marketing items, and we work with over 100 businesses at our agency. And so we are picking what we think are the 11 most interesting items. We share it via email. We do a podcast on it. And so we will be going through items 1 through 11.
All right. And I'm going to kick us off today. So something that I was very surprised and delighted about is that Google local service ads are sunsetting and merging into Google Ads. So local service ads, as we know it, are done. And now instead, there are local service ad performance max campaigns all within the Google Ads platform. These performance max campaigns are dissimilar to the normal performance max in that they are charged per lead. But I'm really pumped about this because this is in the Google Ads platform. There was always like a huge disconnect for me going to the different platforms. Where are the conversions pulling in? Where can I see it? So I'm pretty excited about this. I think it will be a great change for our clients. Like, what do you think?
It was such a mess having to go to the local service ads dashboard, try to figure out the budget between Google Ads, local service ads. It was just a lot of back and forth, and the data would pull into Google Ads from local service ads, but it was
sometimes.
It was like hidden and cryptic. Yeah. So I'm very happy about this personally.
Yeah. And it seems like you still have to go through the same approval process. You still are identifying, certain business types that qualify for local service ads. So a lot of that functionality seems to be the same, but everything's moving over to Google Ads. Great move. Can't believe it wasn't done sooner, but I'm excited about it.
Well, with local service ads, it used to be that the reviews were separate from Google Business Profile. And so there were reviews for local service and there were reviews for Google Business Profile. And that was a mess. And they merged it where all of the reviews went to Google Business Profile. So they're just cleaning it up.
It's a merge on top of a merge, and everything's getting more simplified, which, if you know us, that's the name of our game. So
we like simplification.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have been using MetaEdits. This is replacing CapCut for us from an editing standpoint for a lot of social media videos, and it has been an absolute game changer. The last 4 or 5 videos that we have posted using edits have been some of our highest engaging pieces of content that we've ever done. To me, it's just better user experience than CapCut. For example, when I'm recording multiple videos, you could just start and stop, and it's all in one synchronized place. Adding overlay on top of a video is super easy for like B-roll. So I edited a video last night, and that was my second one using MetaEdits. Shout out to Steph Crumley from our team for bringing it to our attention. But yeah, we've been loving it and recommend it to anybody that is creating their own content.
I think what we're seeing as a pattern right now within number 1 and 2 is simplification and consolidation. And anytime, you're doing something and you can do it all in one platform versus multiple places. It just makes the process easier, which I like. Do you think now is a good time to announce your pledge that you told me about today?
I told Steph, we have this podcast studio. We're going to be creating more content, and my pledge was to create 100 videos over the next 100 days and spend $10,000 promoting those videos. So pretty much $100 per video. And the goal obviously would be to get more clients that offsets the ad spend. And I was telling Stephanie about it, and I told her that I want her involvement in it. And she just gave a hard stop. She's like, I will do some videos, but I am not contributing half.
I am not pledging to the 100 videos in 100 days pledge. But you said that you wanted accountability. So what better way than to announce it in the pod?
I didn't think we were going live with the announcement, but if you follow the Media Captain on Instagram, you'll see we're starting to post a lot more video content with the podcast. We're going to continue doing that. So
I'm posting some more video content.
I guess
Jason is posting a lot more.
I guess the pledge is out there. I don't know if it's like an official pledge, but
it's official.
It's official. All right.
Moving on to number 3. The future of marketing is through connector tools. Now, if you don't know what a connector tool is, this is a tool that connects to software or platforms via an API and connects them into Claude. And the beauty of tools like this, Claude and other AI platforms are already so powerful. When you have a project and you start creating chats within that project, the AI just gets smarter and smarter as you continue the conversation. Well, this project memory that you have, it only goes to a certain extent. What these connector tools is, what they do is they allow to really leverage data from outside platforms to make your AI conversations even smarter. I'll give you one example and just tell you about how we're using this for our agency. So we built an agenda tool, and really it's like a data warehouse that houses our agenda for clients, key data points for clients, strategies, etc. I won't get into all of the details. We built a tool that connects our agenda tool to Claude, and now we are able to go so much more in depth on strategies, on technical items, everything really for our clients. One example that I want to share, we have a client who does like hardscapes for people's homes, so sunrooms, patios, things like that. They are ranking really well for all of the services that they offer, but the one service that has always struggled was custom decks, and we couldn't figure out why this was not ranking. We hooked up our Claude connector tool and asked for 3 proactive items that we could do on the SEO side, and without giving any information about the custom decks, about the struggles with that, it said the custom deck page was not indexed properly. So we were able to get that page, fix the indexing within 1 day. Every single custom deck term for this client was ranking. So that is just the power of a tool like this when it can connect to all of your data points. This isn't something that we would have just found ourselves, but the tool was able to pick up on it.
Piggybacking off of your item on the connector tool, number 4 on our list is we have been utilizing the Screaming Frog connector tool. And if you are unfamiliar with Screaming Frog, it really hits on technical SEO items. So what Stephanie was alluding to in terms of on the website where she found that technical issue, it was just scraping the website. But Screaming Frog goes a level deeper in terms of internal links, title tags, meta descriptions, 404 errors. So we've had Screaming Frog for years at our agency, and different members of our team leverage it. For me, it's always felt a little bit intimidating. just because it's like this massive Excel file and having to export that. So the connector tool has just allowed for it to be conversational, and that has been very helpful for me. So a couple of examples of this is on the Media Captain's website. It connects with Claude, and I just asked it to pull a report of all of our internal links that have 301 redirects, meaning there's not the internal link is not direct. It's skipping through a redirect because it's a best practice to clean that up. Ran a report, gave it to me in Excel file. I sent it off to our developer, and they were able to deploy that. Another thing is that a lot of our pages are optimized for Columbus, and I wanted to make sure it was optimized for Columbus, Ohio. So all of our service pages on our site, I wanted to optimize for that. And through the connector tool, I asked it to give me the current title tag, meta description, and H1, and incorporate Ohio into each of those. And again, this was all via conversation with Claude. It gave me a beautiful document that, in this instance, I just logged into WordPress and implemented it myself. But connector tools are the future. Your data, having a data warehouse and leveraging that is super important. So this is another instance of that.
Yeah, and I would just say one other thing there is, most businesses have all of these different softwares or platforms that they're using, but they don't all speak to each other. And this is a way to really, like the name, connect everything together to give you one full picture.
Well, one other thing on the connector tool for our agency is that it's really nice that you're able to, it is taking in all of our call conversations with a client. And so what can happen is Stephanie's talking to the client, asking a lot of questions. Well, the person who's managing social media for our agency is able to go into that client's Claude project and get a wealth of information that could be used for social posts, all based off of that phone call. So there's so many crazy ways to leverage it, but it's been fun putting it to play with what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, moving on to number 5. We're going to talk about why your About page is holding back your SEO and your AI rankings. So most About Us pages are fluff. They talk a little bit about the company. They maybe talk about the owners. Hopefully your About page is telling a great story, but from what we see, for the most part, a lot of fluff that's not very meaningful. We feel that the About Us page can actually be broken into several separate pages that are more focused. So the Meet the Team page, the History page, Unique Selling Propositions, and Accolades. And what this does is it gives the AI engines these more focused pages where instead of the fluff, and we want you to tell your story, we want to see the personality on the About page, but these pages can really get dialed in. We've recently done this with our own pages on the Media Captain site, if you want to check them out. They look so much better. There's more meaningful information. On our history page, we have like a timeline of everything that we've done in our agency. So just a lot better layout than just one About page that kind of stuffs a lot of fluff into everything.
It's something in SEO that nobody is talking about in terms of like a user experience on the site, how bad About pages are.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many About pages there is, like you were alluding to. There is fluff information with no substance.
I did say fluff about 8 to 10 times.
Here is our overall mission, and here's pictures of our team, and it's kind of scattered. So creating these different pages just helps differentiate it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you hit on the fact that this is what search engines and AI are picking up on now in terms of non-commodity content. A lot of times, if you just go to a random About page, you could copy that and use it for a competitor's site. But for this, it is when you do this well, it's truly unique.
Yeah, and especially the AI engines, the way that they read the content, they like, hard facts, they like lists. So organizing these pages in that way where it's just very structured on what the page is actually about is going to have the most impact.
Yeah, and I got asked, we made a post about this on our Instagram, and somebody asked, well, what do I do if
Oh, you got a question.
we got a question.
Cool.
Somebody said, what do I do if we're a new company? And I said, well, and they said, what do I do about the history page? Well, nix the history page, but really focus on the unique selling proposition page of what makes you unique, and don't BS it. Be honest that, hey, I'm a one-person operation, but our overhead's lower. We're going to give you the best price, and you're dealing directly with me all the time. Like, be truly authentic to who you are.
Yeah,
But
tell your story.
I did think after that comment, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess not everybody has a extensive history. But our history page was a fun one because it really brought out the personality of our agency. It was a picture of me and Stephanie back in 2010 when we started the agency. It showed my first apartment where, AKA my very first office. It had our terrible first logo, and it showed the progression over the years. So the other thing that a history page does, it's just a great way to showcase personality.
Yeah, and even on our Meet the Team page, we tried to insert our personality into really everything that we were doing. So something fun we did on our Meet the Team page was we have everybody's pictures, but when you hover over them, we also have the baby pictures. And that's just, something cute that shows that we're human and we have personality, and sometimes we can be fun. Sometimes.
All right, moving on to marketing item number 6. A metric we've really been looking into on social media is bookmarking. What this is, the likes in the comments are very visible on Instagram, and bookmarks are kind of in the background, but to us, that is becoming one of the most important metrics. What that means when somebody is bookmarking it is they found the information so useful, they want to save it and eventually come back to it. One way I use bookmarks, for this email blast that we do on 11 marketing items, when I'm scrolling through Twitter or Instagram and I'm finding interesting information, I am bookmarking it so I can later go back to that and revert to it in the email. My wife claims that I'm just always aimlessly scrolling social media, but I have high intent when I'm doing that. The beauty, though, of when somebody, so for the Media Captain over the past month, we have accumulated thousands of people have bookmarked our content. Well, what you can do from that is then you could run social ads that targets anybody who's bookmarked your content or a lookalike audience for people similar to that. So there's just a lot that could be done to leverage bookmarking, and a lot of people forget about it.
Yeah, and I love the thought of getting so dialed in on the retargeting ads with people who are engaging with the content, and then clearly they were interested in what you had to say, and you can show those people more content, more tips from your business. So I love that, and we're going to be doing more of that. I will say I've bookmarked probably 1,000 recipes and places to take my kids, and I've literally never gone back and looked at any of my bookmarks.
Our bookmarking is very different. Like when I am on social media, it is not for entertainment purposes or anything with my family. It is strictly business, where for you, I'm not looking at recipes. One other thing on that is that right now, for all of our organic content, we are putting money behind our organic content. We're boosting it directly from our Instagram page, and we are optimized. There's a new optimized mix of actions where it combines bookmarks, likes, comments.
Yeah.
We've seen really, really good engagement with that. So I recommend other businesses do that as well.
And it's really cool just how the engagement has changed over the years from likes is the only thing that matters and the most important thing. And now you have all of these other types of engagements, even how long someone's watched a video, which you can retarget based on that. So just a lot kind of to unpack there, and a lot of really creative things that you can do with your social content. We talk a lot about synergy, and you create a video on social, which you're going to be doing a lot of, and something that performs really well, you then turn it into a social ad. So the ROI of the content that you create just gets a lot higher because you can leverage it in so many places. Similarly, if a piece of content does really well, send it out via an email blast. And when you're spending the time and money to create really good content, it's really nice that you can use it in these different ways.
For sure.
All right, moving on. So let's just talk real talk about the pressure of AI and keeping up with it. Every day, that's the other thing on my social media feed, is 90% just like all of the crazy things that you can do with AI. And there's a lot of pressure to keep up with it. It's literally something new every second. We've talked about this, that our business has changed more in the last 2 years than in the last 16. And how do you feel? How are you handling the pressure?
It's a lot. Every time I'm on Instagram, I've used Claude to automate my business, or I've used Claude to create a carousel for Instagram that's increased engagement by 1,000%. And I take it with a grain of salt. I think that there are a lot of great ways to leverage AI. We just had a conversation with a client talking about AI, and it was fascinating because he said, it hasn't really saved me time. I've just gotten like much smarter in my output. And I think that sums it up really good. There are ways that you can save time. We've taken an approach where we've just really, we know the process of our agency really well. So we've honed in on our agency and optimizing things and improving processes.
But even with that, maybe we're saving time on putting agendas together, but that time is being spent getting so much more dialed into the strategy, which is cool because we're spending less time on just like administrative, repetitive tasks and more time on actual work that's going to be meaningful to the client. And when we talk about AI and what it can do for your business, we really see it as a way to just eliminate redundant tasks. And we've been trying to talk to our clients and businesses, just getting to hear their process and see what can we do to leverage AI to make your process more efficient, or to enable you to become smarter and better at what you're doing.
Yeah, and it goes back to talking about the connector tool. For any client now, we would be able to tap into their CRM, to their customer list, to their accounting, and you could pull that data in and via connector tool with Claude, and you could start having very intelligent conversations. So it's overall, it feels overwhelming, the information overload that a marketer or a business owner is dealing with every day. But I think, we're 3 years into AI, and if you have a process in place that's helping your output, making you smarter, saving you time, then I'd say you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see too, because with AI, what really wins is the ability to customize something to the business or to the person. Standardization just doesn't work as much anymore because everybody has such a specific process that being able to customize to that process or those needs is, what makes you stand out. But when you talked about the 3 years, I thought about my son was born 3 years ago, and Jason and I always say that like I went on maternity leave and there was no AI, and I came back and I was like smacked in the face with the whole AI world.
It literally, ChatGPT rolled out a week after you gave birth, and you came back and you're like, what did I miss? I was like, the
Everything.
biggest transformation that you'll ever witness. Moving on to number 9. You need to stop leveraging so many photos on your website. And the reason I say this is because Google devalues stock photography. If you're just using stock images, there's nothing unique or proprietary about that. It's also just not adding much value onto the page itself. So the beauty of working with Claude or ChatGPT or any of those AI platforms is that you could build out really nice charts and graphs, and it can help better distinguish your service or your product offering. So if you're going to have photos on your site, make sure that they are unique. Make sure that they are professional. Record videos if you don't have photos, because that is something proprietary. But also, every page doesn't need to have 4 to 5 pictures on it. That's a dated practice. So sometimes one photo will be perfectly sufficient. And there are just great ways to incorporate more comparison charts and things along those lines.
And I would say when you talk about the charts and graphs, distinguishing the business, it really helps enhance the user experience to have something visual that explains what you're talking about. And user experience is so important. So when you can incorporate that, like we do it, we have pages about, different industries that we work with, or just, different SEO things, different PPC things. And when you can incorporate that visual element to what you're talking about, it really helps hammer down the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah, there was a blog that we wrote on authority score of different industries, and just to be able to create this visual chart with different colors. I don't need an image in there. That is perfectly sufficient.
Yep. Okay, well, moving on to number 10. A good tip is to do a Google search comparing your website to a competitor's website. First of all, you'll discover what Google thinks of your website, and you'll kind of learn where your competitors have an advantage over your site. And for example, this is really interesting, but they viewed our site as a much larger agency and a more corporate feel, which is never how I would have described us. So it's interesting to see that like Google and AI portray us this way. And based on that finding, we created a new page on our site about, what differentiates the media captain, or what do we call it? Unique selling props of the media captain, something like that. And we inserted just some more of our personality in there, that we're sibling owned, that we've been in business for 15 years, that if you're working with us, you have a whole team at your disposal, but you can also talk to the owners. So it's just really interesting, the kind of the tips that you'll get when you're comparing your site to your competitors on Google, and a lot can come from those findings.
Well, it's not just adding our personality onto that page. There was a lot of proprietary information. Our average client retention is over 3 years. We included that. We talked about accreditations with the BBB and awards that we've won with Clutch. So it was pretty much, why choose us over a competitor? And what's going to happen by building out that page is that it will populate in AI searches.
I have no idea why I could not think of what the name of that page was, but that's another thing with this page, is that because the AI engines really like that, like those details and those facts, we were able to give all of those facts about our business and really, paint the picture of ourselves.
And a long time ago in SEO, EEAT, establishing expertise, authority, and trust. That is a ranking factor, a known ranking factor for Google, and they want to see that you are an expert. They want to see your accreditations. So when we're talking about the About page, this all ties back to it.
Well, last but not least, we're going to talk about what we're excited about. When we were planning the podcast, I wanted us to each share a book that we've recently read, just to share some insight, something that we found interesting. Jason was very anti the book review. So I'm sharing a book, he's sharing something else, and we'll see what happens.
Well, hold on. But before you get into it, we always number 11 was always share something you're excited about. All of the sudden, it turned into a book review. And I'm like, I don't read a book every 2 weeks, let alone every 2 months or maybe even 2 years. So she was wanting me to share
just
a book.
For today. For today.
And then you were telling me this book, I told you I started reading. I'm 15% done with it. You're like, well, share this book. I'm like, I haven't even gotten to chapter 4.
Well, you didn't tell me that because you recommended the book to me. I didn't realize that you were only 5% done with it. So
I thought you recommended that to me.
No.
No? Okay.
Well, the one thing that I get credit for of all the things. So anyway, recently I read the book 10x is easier than 2x by Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan is the founder of Strategic Coach, and I was hesitant to read this book at the beginning, but Jason and I both read it, so he does read sometimes. And
I don't think I've read the whole thing.
Okay. Well, you got the gist.
I got the gist.
But anyway, we both loved this book, and the book kind of goes back to the 80-20 rule, where essentially it says that you should focus your efforts on the 20% of things that are going to make the most impact for your business, which also will probably include the things that you're the best at and the things that you like the most. And if you focus on just those 20% most important, what is going to move the needle, and the 80% either get rid of it, let go of it, or hand it off to somebody else, that is what is going to really allow you to 10x in your business and in your life. So it was a really easy read. I was very engaged the whole time I read it. Clearly, Jason only made it like 60 to 70% of the way through, but he told me he loved it, so I don't know. But
I loved the 60% that I read.
Yeah.
All right, what I am excited about was rearranging my office. So this has been a long journey. This podcast studio is on the other half of my office. When I started recording videos, I have recorded videos in so many bad places. I have recorded videos in the garage of my house during February. I have done it in these office spaces where the lighting was terrible. I feel like there have been so many iterations, and I really think that we nailed it this time. We just have a good space where we could come in and obviously record the podcast or short, quick form videos. This also is something where clients are going to be able to come to. My whole office got rearranged. I'm excited about it. I'm also excited that it's done. It was just a lot of work to get here, but here we are. We've finished recording this episode in the new setup. What do you think?
Hey, I'm pretty happy with it. We weren't sure how it would go with like the papers printed out, but I thought it was pretty awesome. Definitely better than when we used to write on a big whiteboard like the notes for our videos and like drop pictures and have to stand on a ladder to do it. So what about you?
I thought it was great. I've realized I haven't looked you in the eyes for this long of a period of time in a very long while. But it's good. We recorded this on our own computers beforehand. We had a camera above the computer, and we would record on that. And there's something. So we were nervous because we just printed out the papers, and on the computer you would just have the prompt up, and it would be a little bit easier. But overall, went well. We were streaming live to maybe 5 people on Instagram. So
I would say 5 would be, a lot.
So there felt a little more. It was a one take. We couldn't mess up, and we got through it. So I'm happy about that.
We did it. Version 4, episode 1. Let's go.
And so if you liked this podcast, just make sure to subscribe wherever you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and share it with another marketer or business owner that may enjoy it also. We will see you next time.